Hi, this is Michael, and today I'm reviewing the Wirsh 20-bar home espresso machine. Now, this is the third Wirsh machine that I've had the pleasure of reviewing. They just sent me this recently and asked me to review this one. So I'm going to unbox it, show everything about it to you, and we'll see how it performs. Let's get it out of the box and see what we've got here. So here we have the user guide and warranty information, I guess. Just tip this over and get this out of the box easily this way. All right, here we have the portafilter, and it's already got the double basket in it. Here we have the tamper and the scoop. And I'm happy to say it is a metal tamper, not plastic, like seems to be so common these days with the little more inexpensive machines. But here we have the metal tamper and scoop. And there is the machine itself. And then, let's see, what else do we have? Here we have the single filter basket, and the double basket is already in the portafilter. All right, I'll get the plastic off of this and then we'll plug it in and see how it works. So on the back we have the water reservoir. We'll just lift this off, and typically there's going to be a plug, a red plug. You just have to remove that red plug, and then you can rinse this out and fill it with water, put it back on the machine. You can also fill it directly while it's on the machine just by lifting the lid up and pouring your filtered water right in there. This machine has kind of a nice feature. It has suction cups for the feet, so that helps this prevent it from sliding around while it's operating. Then this is our drip tray, and this also has a little red float that'll lift up, and if you see that little red float sticking through the slot here, you know that your drip tray is full and it must be emptied. This is stainless steel, and this is just plastic and can be wiped out. They also give you a secondary drip tray, so this comes in handy if you have a taller mug or cup, or a travel mug perhaps. It may not fit here, so if you remove the drip tray, you can put your mug or cup on the bottom drip tray, and then this also comes out for easy washing. So that's kind of a nice little feature there. Before you use the machine for the first time, you do want to wash all the components. So I've gotten the portafilter and the baskets, and I'll rinse them out in the sink with soap and hot water. And then also I want to point out that the portafilter has no plastic in it. So it's all metal, and that's always desirable. I'm going to put the double portafilter in here. As far as how to get the filter baskets out, I just use the edge of the other one that I'm not using. And there's a little slot on the back. You can just insert it in there and give it a little twist, and that'll pop it out, make it a little bit easier for you to get that filter basket out of there. You can also use a coin, probably. These will tend to, once you start using the machine regularly, these will come out a little bit easier as you develop a little bit of wear in there. So I'm going to put that double filter back in there. I'm going to attach it to the brew head here, plug the machine in, and we're going to run some hot water through the machine. Now, when you first plug it in, it goes into standby mode, so it's not really on at this point. You do have to push the on-off button, and then we're going to let this heat up. It'll take maybe 30 to 40 seconds. This uses thermoblock technology, not a boiler. So it does heat up a lot faster than a comparable machine that would use a boiler instead of a thermoblock. So once these lights stop flashing, we'll know we're at temperature, and then I can put my cup underneath here. We'll run one shot of hot water through here just to clean the inside out, and then we'll do the same thing with the steam wand once it gets up to temperature. All right, stop blinking, so we're ready to go. Just touch the single espresso. It's going to run the hot water through here and clean everything out. You can see the pressure gauge is moving, but it's not moving a whole lot because we don't have any coffee grounds in there, so there's nothing to prevent the water from just going straight through, and therefore doesn't really develop any pressure. Okay, so that's it. Let me pour this out. Go over here to the steam wand, and I'm just going to turn it on. And this is only going to put hot water through here, not steam, because we have not pushed the steam button. So we'll just fill this up and then rotate it to turn it off. Okay. So we are basically ready to go. Now if I wanted steam, I would push the steam button, and again it's going to take a few seconds to heat up to the proper temperature to produce steam. When it stops blinking, it'll be ready to go. That did not take long at all. And here we have our steam. I'll go into more detail with that when we get to the point where we need to steam some milk. All right, so as always, it's always very important to have a good quality burr grinder. You don't want to use a blade grinder ever when you're making espresso. When you're making your espresso, you should be aware that the top of the machine is a warming tray, so you can actually put a couple of cups up there. The machine will power down after 15 minutes of inactivity, so if you want to use this as the warming tray, turn the machine on, put your cups up there. Just wait a few minutes before you make your espresso, and you can warm your cups using the top part of the machine. If you don't want to use that, you can pre-warm your cup. It's always a good idea to do that because you want your espresso hot, and if you pour your espresso into a cold cup, it's going to cool it down a little faster than you might want. So you can just run some hot water into the cup, and that'll pre-warm your cup. You don't have to fill the cup at all. Just get some really hot water in there, swish it around a little bit, and you've got a pre-warmed cup. Now I have pre-ground some coffee here. I used a hand grinder, but you use an electric grinder. You want a very fine espresso grind, and this is what it should look like. You don't want powder, but you want a very fine, evenly ground coffee like this. Now this basket is going to hold roughly 13 grams of coffee. So there is a maximum fill line inside, and so just scoop your coffee in there, and once you get it about halfway full, I usually tap it on the tabletop. That compresses the coffee a little bit and helps distribute it evenly. You don't want to get your coffee all the way to the top because you need to leave a little bit of space in there so that the screen, which is inside the brew head here, doesn't press on top of the coffee. So again, you want it'll be about 13 grams of coffee if you were to measure the coffee that's in there. So once you get it nice and even, and you can even use the edge of the scoop to level it off, then you use your tamper, and you want to apply a firm, very firm pressure, and you can even give it a little quarter of a turn as you're tamping it down. You should have a nice flat surface. You don't want it slanted. Insert it about 45 degrees off center into the brew head, and then it'll be sticking straight out when it's in the locked position. Get your pre-warmed cup, put it underneath, and you're going to push the double espresso button if that's what you're making. If you're making a single, then you would just push the single button. Now the next thing you want to do after you press the button is make sure you pay attention to the pressure gauge. The very first thing you're going to hear is the pre-infusion. That'll just be a couple seconds, and then the actual extraction will take place. During the extraction, you want that pressure to be about in the middle of the red range. If it's right on the edge, well, that'll be adequate, but next time you want to put maybe a little more coffee in or tamp it a little more firmly. But ideally, you want to be right about in the middle of the red range there. Your shot should take about 20 to 30 seconds. 30 seconds is ideal. If it takes longer than that, you're going to be over-extracted, and coffee is probably going to be bitter tasting. If it's less than 20 seconds, you'll just have a very weak, under-extracted espresso. So there we have it. We have a nice, fairly nice crema. My beans could have been a little more fresh, and if they had been a little more fresh, I probably would have had a little more crema, but I'm not complaining about that. That's pretty nice. Now, in order to take the next step, you need to remove the coffee out of your portafilter, and I have what's called a knock box. You don't need one, but I just find it more convenient to use a knock box. It's just very easy to tap the portafilter on there, and then that knocks the grounds right out. You can just easily do it in your sink as well. Rinse it out, wipe off the screen on the brew head, and you are ready for your next coffee drink. All right, we're just about ready to make a milk-based espresso drink, but before I do that, I do want to mention just a couple more things about the machine. Now, as I did mention early on, it's a 20-bar machine, so it develops a good amount of pressure. You can see it just turned off. Well, it does have an automatic turn off after 15 minutes of inactivity. So we'll just turn it back on again, and it's really already at temperature since it just turned off, so it doesn't blink the lights if you turn it on right away. The other thing I want to mention is that if you're a little more advanced, you can optionally get a bottomless portafilter. Now this one is more substantial in weight. The basket is a little bit deeper, and again, it's not a pressurized filter, it's a bottomless portafilter. So it lets you dial in your espresso a little better, and you can also use a 20-pound tamper, which when you insert it into the portafilter after you've put your coffee in there, it exerts 20 pounds of force to give you a very consistent tamp. So as you get a little more experienced, you may want to think about switching over to a bottomless portafilter because it does give you a great result. The most important thing though is to, especially when you're making a milk-based drink and if you ever want to dabble in latte art, is you really need to get freshly ground beans. Otherwise you're just not going to get good crema development. You'll just get a very weak crema, and you really need a lot of crema in order to develop the rich color. Once you start adding the milk in there, you need a good crema in order to get a good latte art. So all right, we're going to get ready to go here. You need to have cold milk, and I'm going to use whole milk. However, you can use 2%, 1%, you can even use skim milk. Nut milks aren't going to give you as good a result, so we're going to use whole milk here. Get your stainless steel frothing pitcher. You want to pour milk into it just to about to the bottom of the indentation in the spout there. Now this is a 10-ounce frothing pitcher, which is just about right for the size of drink that we'll be making here. So the technique is as follows. First of all, you push the froth button on the machine. It'll blink for a few seconds until it gets up to the higher temperature that it needs. Once it gets to that temperature, you want to turn it on, just put it over the drip tray here, and turn on the knob to get any water or air that might be trapped. Just wait till you start getting some steady steam out of there. Now we're ready to go. Pull it out again. You want to insert the tip up to about the line where the tip joins the shaft here, and just let it follow the groove of the spout. Once you get it in position, turn this on full, give it a little tip, and then you want to just slowly pull this down so the tip is just barely under the surface of the milk. And that is going to start creating your micro bubbles. You don't want big bubbles, you want micro bubbles. So if you pull it out too far, you're just going to get really big bubbles. Now, as you're holding the frothing pitcher, it's going to start warming up. When it gets to the point where it's too hot to hold, that means it is time to turn off the steam. Once you've got some nice froth developed there, then you want to plunge the tip down until it's right to that little dividing line that I mentioned earlier. And then you want to get the swirling motion. This is how you're mixing those micro bubbles in with the rest of the milk. Okay, so I can barely hold this now, so that is about the right temperature, and I'm going to turn this completely off. Just put the jug down on your counter, immediately get a damp rag and wipe off the wand, and then move it over and give it a blast of steam just to clean the tip, and then just make sure you get the milk off of there right away. Now we are going to, I'm going to let that milk sit here for just a second. Now we're going to make our espresso. I do it this way. Some people make the espresso first and then froth the milk, but I like to make sure my espresso is as hot as possible. And plus you do want to give the milk just a moment or two to sort of settle a little bit. And then we'll get the big bubbles out of the milk and give it a little swish. So this is just about right here. I'm going to tamp this down firmly. And then we'll put it on the machine and make our double shot. Okay, now another nice feature of this machine is you don't have to wait very long before you can just immediately make an espresso once you've made your froth. Just takes a few seconds. And while that is, I'm going to give this a tap here to get the large bubbles. Now I'm going to swirl this. The idea here is you want to swirl those micro bubbles into the rest of the milk to get them to blend together. And as you do that, you should see the surface become a very nice, don't know how to describe the look of it, very glossy, I guess I would say. All right, so mentioned earlier, my beans aren't quite as fresh as I would like, so I don't have as much crema as I would really like. But basically at this point, once you've got the milk and the foam integrated pretty well, just start to pour it right in the middle of your cup. And I'm not any good at latte art. I'm making a cappuccino anyway. So there we go. So there is our lovely looking cappuccino, and there you go. I really like this machine. It's very compact in size. It makes great espresso. It performs very well. It does a good job of frothing the milk as well. No complaints with this at all. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. I'll try to answer it if I can. Hey, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you found this helpful. We'll catch you the next time. Take care.